FBI announced in a news brief on January 4, 2024, that a superseding indictment was filed today in federal court in Brooklyn charging Amory Guzman, Ian Diaz, Rafi Fernandez, and Jonathan Rodriguez, members of the Trinitarios street gang, with a string of violent crimes including multiple shootings and armed carjackings between November 2022 and February 2023. The defendants were previously arrested and will be arraigned on the superseding indictment at a Brian Peace, United States Attorney for the Eastern District of New York, and James Smith, Assistant Director in Charge, Federal Bureau of Investigation, New York Field Office, FBI, announced the charges. As alleged, the defendants repeatedly and violently terrorized the community with multiple shootings and armed carjackings, stated United States Attorney Peace. Members of our community should not have to live in fear of gun violence in their homes, on the streets, or in their cars. My office is dedicated to ensuring the safety of the community and bringing those who shoot and rob community members to justice. Taking violent offenders off the street should send a message to Trinitarios members and their associates that violence and senseless murder will not be tolerated, said James Smith, Assistant Director in charge of the FBI New York. New Yorkers should have the opportunity to live, work, and play without fear, and we ask the community to join us in our stand against violence. You can make a difference. The November 19, 2022 shooting. As alleged in the indictment and other court filings, Guzman, Fernandez, and others conspired to rob a marijuana dealer in Queens on November 19, 2022. Guzman approached the victim as he sat inside his parked car with a companion in the passenger seat. Guzman fired a shot into the victim's car, wounding the passenger in the neck. The passenger survived but underwent extensive surgery to remove the bullet from his neck. The November 20, 2022 murder. The following day, on November 20, 2022, shortly after midnight, Guzman and others stole a white Mercedes-Benz sedan from the driveway of a residence in Carteret, New Jersey, and drove it to Queens. Later that evening, using the stolen Mercedes, Guzman and Rodriguez approached the driver of a parked BMW sports coupe. Rodriguez approached the driver at gunpoint and fired in his direction as the victim attempted to flee. The victim was shot once in the back, quickly lost control of his car, and then flipped over onto a sidewalk. The victim was shot once in the back and died from the gunshot wound moments later. The November 22, 2022 armed carjacking. 2 days later, on November 22, 2022, Guzman, Rodriguez, and others once again used the stolen Mercedes to approach a victim who had recently parked his BMW X5 on a residential block in Queens. The crew attacked the victim at gunpoint and stole the keys to his BMW X5. They then fled in the stolen Mercedes and in the victim's BMW X5, only to crash into each other minutes later. Rodriguez was arrested near the scene of the collision, but Guzman managed to escape. A 9mm ghost gun was recovered from the wrecked Mercedes which, based on ballistic analysis, was the same gun used in the fatal and non-fatal shootings days earlier, based on ballistic analysis. The December 12, 2022 shooting. Several weeks later, on December 12, 2022, Guzman, Fernandez, and Diaz approached the driver of a Range Rover in Queens intending to carjack him. Diaz menaced the driver with a hard object. As the victim attempted to flee, Fernandez fired a gun towards the Range Rover, causing a bullet to lodge in the center console of the victim's car. The February 1, 2023 armed carjacking. On February 1, 2023, Guzman and others attacked a victim at gunpoint on a residential block in Queens and struck him in the head with their guns while stealing the keys to his Ford Mustang. They fled in the victim's Mustang and in a stolen Dodge Charger that they used to carry out the carjacking. Lacerations to the victim's head required hospitalization. If convicted, Guzman and Rodriguez are facing up to a life sentence. Fernandez is facing up to 20 years and Diaz is facing up to 15 years. The charges in the indictment are allegations, and the defendants are presumed innocent until